It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
If you work in university maintenance, Granger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Granger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more. And all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRANGER, visit Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
He's an old head.
Youngins are really starting to get on my damn nerves.
He's a purveyor of nonsense. He's a Georgia high school coaching job influencer. His favorite Bible verse is, Jesus wept. He's the man of constant sorrow, Chris Bam!
Yeah.
Welcome to Son Coaches Podcast, and today got a good friend of mine on today, a friend of the program, one of the best guys in the business, the head coach at Wilcox County, Coach Rob Stowe. Thanks for being on with us, Coach.
Hey, Coach, I appreciate you having me on. I mean, you've had some really good guys on here before that I try to listen to every one of them, and it's an honor, first, for you to ask me, and two, to follow up some of these guys that you talk to. It's going to be hard to follow up Coach Hallam. He is a legend for sure.
Well, I appreciate you being on, Coach, and just tell us a little bit about, where'd you grow up and go to high school?
I went to Stevens County High School way back in the last century. Graduated in 1991. Played for Rodney Walker, who is a legend in the state of Georgia, and got a lot of the things that I believe in today as far as coaching football, and from him and seeing how he operated the program, and we won a lot of games up there too, and had a good time up there playing for him. And Frank Barden was our offensive coordinator, who's gone on to win a ton of games at different places. And Pat Burdett, who's a legend. I think Coach Burdett's about to wind it down at Mary Persons, but anyway, great staff there, and a lot of good coaching buddies that I played with at Stevens County. I don't know if you know some of these guys, but Chip Walker, you probably heard of him.
Yeah, I know Chip.
Yeah, me and Chip are good buddies. He was our quarterback, and then Brad Whitfield's a coach at Stevens, was on the offensive line, and Chris Griffin, who's been a head coach. I think he's at Cherokee Bluff right now as the defensive coordinator, and some other guys who are younger than us, like Benji Harris. And, anyway, Stevens County has produced a lot of football coaches, and I attribute a lot of that to, us playing under Coach Walker and seeing how to do it right, and that's been important to me and the foundation. So played there. And then
I had no idea you were from there. We stopped this past year and did our walkthrough at Noonan, and I saw Chip, and he came out and had a beard and everything, and I was just picking at him. I said, "You have aged horribly," and he was like, "Well, we're old now."
That's true. I saw a picture of Chip today. He was doing something about giving back to the community. He did, and like you said, his beard looked like his dad's hair was back when I played for him back in the late 80s and early 90s, just as gray as can be. And
now he's in great shape. He's in.
Oh, I was going to say, but he looks like he's ready to go play ball now.
Oh, absolutely. Probably still can.
I'm sure he can. He's a great guy, and has had great career on his own right too.
Tremendous guy. I mean, he just opened the doors for us and came down and talked to us, and very gracious.
No doubt.
So, what did you do? What position did you play in high school? I mean, did you have
a little bit of everything? But my last 2 years, I started at wide receiver, which for us, quite honestly, was nothing more than a little bit bigger split offensive tackle, because we ran the wishbone, and pretty much the only time we were going to throw the ball was in pregame. So, I took great pride in blocking. I knew that was part of the game, if you will. That was back in that day and time, about everybody ran wing T or wishbone of some type. So, even though we didn't get a lot of balls thrown to us, we still enjoyed winning football games. And if it meant, blocking, 90% of the time, that's what we did. But I did that. And then, Coach Walker, he did ask if I wanted to go play ball at the next level. But I had my mindset, I wanted to go to UGA. My dad, my grandfather, they went there. So I was dyed in the wool, red and black, and just went there to be a student, but knew deep down that, football was a major part of my life, and, and decided I wanted to get into coaching, and felt like it's a calling. I'm sure you and most of the guys that coach feel that way as well. Cause if you don't feel called to this profession, you're going to get burned out in a hurry. And, I believe that God has equipped me, with some few talents to help few people out. It's my job to try to do that. And I've enjoyed every minute of it. So I went to UGA, and like I say, I got that degree in history and trying to find a job. And of course, went back to Coach Walker, and one of Coach Walker's previous stops was in LJ, Georgia at Gilmer County High School. And I'll never forget it. This is before cell phones and all that stuff. He called me at my house in Toccoa as I was getting ready to graduate. And, I try to talk like Coach Walker. He goes, hey, I need you to go to LJ and take that job up there. And, I'm thinking like, well, dang, Coach, I didn't say this to him. I'm thinking, I don't even know where LJ is, never been there. But, if Coach said this is what I need to do, I'm going to check it out. And sure enough, I called up there, and the guy that was the principal was lecturing. He was his defensive coordinator when he was in LJ. So obviously that connection, Coach Walker kind of arranged for it. And, I'll be first to admit, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, he wasn't really asking you to take that job. He was telling you were going to take that job.
I think he said, and what he said in a nice way of saying, like, look, you're going to go be up in LJ because they need help, and I coached you, and I'm coaching you some more. I'm going to coach you up there to get that job. So
that's awesome.
I did. And hey, that was a great move for me too, honestly. I remember going up there for my interview and being nervous and whatnot, but just as soon as I got there, I got put at ease and really felt at home, and was there for 11 years. And Coach, I mean, that's where I met my wife. She was finishing up college my first year, but her younger brother was a starting tight end for our football team. And, she happened to come pick him up from practice one day, and the rest is history. I say we're still together. She puts up with me somehow, but LJ was good for me, and good people. And, it was a tough region we played in too, Coach. I mean, at the beginning part of the time in LJ, we were playing against the Forsyth schools back when they were all AA. And as you know now, they're playing in the biggest classification they can be in. But Forsyth Central and North Forsyth, South Forsyth were still AA size schools, but they were getting better and better. And I remember getting ready to play South Forsyth that first year, and we rode down there, and I saw where it was next to the Polo Grounds in Atlanta, and I'm thinking, like, this looks nothing like LJ, Georgia. I don't know how they're the same size school. And then next reclass, of course, they jumped up two classes. So, it was a tough region, even though we were in the mountains. A lot of people have a misnomer thinking it's not as good football, but it really is. And then towards the later part of my time there, we got all the Hall County schools. And I can tell you some stories about lining up trying to stop Deshaun Watson and J-Bo Shaw and the people like that. And, it's tough. But at the same time, it was a place that, you enjoyed going to work every day because the people were so good and the kids were so good. And like I said, my wife's family's from there. So a lot of great things I learned in LJ that, shaped me up for where I am today. And I'll be honest with you, Coach, I don't know if other people will believe what I'm saying, but sometimes you're in these places it's tough to win, you learn how to coach even more when you're in a struggle. And I would say that some of maybe my best coaching jobs were on some teams that were 2-8. And, you feel like, well, the record doesn't show it. Everybody thinks you're probably a bum, but you realize that if you didn't coach so hard, you wouldn't have got those 2 wins. It'd have been an 0-10 season. So anyway, say all that to say, while it was tough to win a lot of football games in LJ, I'm proud to say we won over half of them in that time period that I was up there, from an assistant coach all the way to being the head coach. Like I said, I was there for 11 years.
And you've got 3 sons, right?
I do, and they were all born there.
That's
so,
what I was getting around to. Were they all born up there?
Sure were. I mean, Coach, kind of like you. Now we lived on a golf course up there, White Path Golf Course, and my oldest son, who's now coaching at White County, is he grew up kind of, if you will. We would eat supper in the evenings in the summertime, and was able to go play holes 3, 4, and 5. They kind of went around my house, so it was good time having those boys. It was a good place to raise kids, and and I say it's tough to win, but we had some memorable experiences. I know you like hearing some funny stories. I'll never forget. In 1997, we were the 4th seed out of our region. That was the first year, I believe, that Georgia High School went to 4 teams going into the playoffs. It had been 2 teams from your region prior to that. But anyway, long story short, we go down and play Crim High School at Lakewood Stadium in Atlanta. And hey, for one, back then it was on that carpet, not the turf of today. So
the Crim Eagles, they don't exist anymore.
They don't even exist anymore. And Coach, they were ranked number 2 in the state and undefeated. I mean, they had guys going to Georgia, Mississippi State, you name it, they had them. We're trying to figure out what kind of shoes we're going to wear. And all. So anyway, we go down there and we're playing, and probably if the kids today on my football team had to put on the shoes that we wore that night, they'd think they was in concrete blocks. I mean, we was wearing high top, might as well been the old Jordans. I mean, it was pretty rough, but we thought we were pretty good for that night. But anyway, to get to the end of the story, we're leading these guys the whole game. I mean, the whole game, and have no reason really to be leading them. And it gets late in the game. It's under 2 minutes. We got the ball on like our 45, 46, 47 yard line, somewhere right in there. We hadn't crossed the 50, and it's 4th and 5, Coach. And I remember, I'm a second-year coach. And I remember vividly walking up to the head coach, Mike Thompson, who is as good a wishbone man as there is, by the way. And I remember whispering in his ear, I said, "Hey, Coach, you want to think about maybe just go ahead and let the clock run out, take a delayed game before we punt it?" And I remember he looked at me, kind of gave me one of those, "You need to go to, where? Who do you think you are? With this, the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life." And so I knew my lane. I backed up, and I didn't take offense to it. I just said, "Yes, sir." Well, anyway, he said, "We're going to run this play." And it was an outside veer play with a halfback. And boom, we busted it for about 15 yards to get the first down. We're able to run out the clock. And we're celebrating, after the game, and jumping up and down and shaking hands and hugging. And I happened to be standing right next to him when the Atlanta Journal-Constitution writer came up to him and said, "Coach, that might have been the gutsiest call I've seen a coach make on a 4th down in a late situation." And about that time, Coach Thompson cut and looked at me and gave the look like, "You're telling me that was 4th down?" And anyway, long story short, he thought it was 3rd and 5. And we talked about that thing on the bus the whole way home. Like, I can't believe I went for it on 4th down. I said, "Well, Coach, that's why I said what I did." And he said, "I thought you was an idiot," a few other words. But anyway, that was a fun experience.
Hey, it worked out.
It did. I felt like I was giving my first real contribution in a game and telling the coach, "Hey, let's take this delay game." And he said, "You need to shut the heck up."
Yeah, you go stand over there in color.
That's right. And then whenever that reporter asked him that question, he looked at me like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I thought it was 3rd down." So that was a really funny story from those days back in LJ. And then we had plenty of another funny story, and I'll get off and we'll head to the next job. We had this kid, and his name was Pete Rocco. And Pete was one of those scout teamers, that is a good kid, but just not a lot of talent, and but a great heart. And he's playing scout team defense for us one day, and it's one of these days that our scout team, quite honestly, was just whipping the dog fire out of our first offense. There's going to be those days where it seems like you can't do nothing against the scout team, and and whatnot. And I remember vividly saying to Pete, like, "Good Lord," he's a nose guard. I should have said this. "How come everybody else is making tackles and whatnot? How come you ain't making no tackles? I want to see you in the dang backfield." "Yes, sir. I'll do it." "Yes, sir." So the next play, we line up there, and how we're defensive coaches, we all stand back there behind the linebackers at the free safety area, and dang, they snapped the ball the next play, and I about got run over by Pete in a huge back pedal from his nose guard position. And I said, Pete, what in the crap are you doing, son? He said, Coach, that wasn't deep enough in the backfield for you. And I was like, dang it, son, not this backfield. I mean, over on the offensive side, and those were just some of the things that it's hard to believe, but they really did happen. I promise they did.
Well, he did what you told him to do.
He did. And that was a lesson learned of like, these kids will take you literal, you better make sure you don't assume they know what you're talking about. So.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we call that third period.
I heard that.
That's third period weight training. That's what that is.
Oh, boy.
So where'd you end up heading after Gilmer County?
Okay, after Gilmer County, I went 1 year to Franklin County High School. And the reason why I went to Franklin was being from Toccoa. Thought it would be a good move, get kind of closer to my family, and went with the late Danny Durham, who passed away a few years ago. He was the head coach, and just knew him from through the coaching circle and whatnot. And Benji Harrison, who was younger than me at Stevens, but he was on staff, and he said, you need to come over here. And we did. And we had a good season. We went 5-5, which if you look at Franklin's history, that's not a bad record. And but we could have won more probably, I feel like, if we'd have done, everything had failed just right, but we just didn't quite get it done. But even with that, it was a great year, and I enjoyed my experience there. And Coach Durham got the job at Raven County after that 2007 season and asked me to come up there and be the offensive coordinator. So I said, you know what, I've always liked the idea of living in the mountains. Just came from LJ. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go with you. So, yeah, let's go to Raven. And from Franklin, we went to Raven County. And, Raven, gosh, everybody knows how good they are right now. And I got up there right as that was just beginning to kind of take off. But I'm going to give a lot of credit at Raven really to our two administrators. And Coach, you know this as well as I do. It is tough to win football games if the administration is not on the same page and not all in to win and do the little things it takes. But Matt Arthur was our superintendent up at Raven County, and Mark Ernest was our principal. And I think Mr. Arthur works for the state now, and Mr. Ernest is superintendent at Seminole. But they gave us what we needed to do to win. And when we went up there, if you've been by Raven lately, if you drove up 441, you look up to the right as you're going north, and you see that palace they got over there now. That wasn't quite there when I was there to begin with, but it was there before I left. And probably one of the best fortunes for me that happened at Raven County on a personal note was Coach Durham left, and Lee Shaw came in as the head coach, and he ended up hiring me, and I was, like the only holdover from the previous staff. And I thought that was an honor for one thing that, I won't say got rid of, but, it changed. And the staff that had been there under Coach Durham left, or whatever, however you want to call it. And he chose to keep me in, but he wanted to move me to the defensive side of the ball exclusively. And that's been one of the best moves for me ever. For one, I'm in love on defense now. I thought I liked offense, and I do. I like the whole game, but defense, there's something about the kids that like playing defense. That's the way football's supposed to be. If you want to say, I'll go ahead and say, I think overall they're tougher kind of kids. That most of them don't worry about the limelight. They don't worry about, who's getting all the recognition and the accolades. They just want to play football and hit somebody in the head. And I'm thankful that Coach Shaw moved me to defense to coach defense. And about that time, we started getting guys that you maybe heard of, like Charlie Warner. And then, who's playing with the Falcons now. And it's pretty amazing how you get to be a much smarter coach when you get players like Charlie Warner. And we was able to really start winning a lot of games, and it took off up at Raven County. And, that's kind of probably where my three boys, if I had to be honest with you, they feel like they kind of grew up at Rabun County and spent most of their early childhood. And my oldest went to school there up to he's about ninth grade. So that was a good move for us.
Yeah, I was at Early County. We played Rabun in the second round, and it was Werner's senior year.
Right.
And
I remember that game.
We went up there, and it was 7-0 at halftime, us, and we were like, okay, we're good. And then 49 unanswered later, it was like, okay, that sucked. And it was the two, like, as far away from each other as you could be in the state.
You're right.
And we get on the charter buses to go home. And it has nothing to do with the game. This is just another totally different story. We don't get 3 exits down from Rabun, and one of the tires goes out on one of the buses.
Oh my gosh.
So we've got all of Blakely, Georgia, all the maintenance guys, whatever, and they won't let them help them, and the bus driver can't, they're charter buses. And they're like, oh, we got to wait for, whoever to come, and it's the middle of the night. And it's going to take us whatever. Anyway, long story short, it took us 25 hours from the time we left Blakely, Georgia, to the time we got back. 2 buses broke down, a flat tire later, an hour on the way home. We had forgotten about that 49-14 ripping we took.
You had bigger problems to worry about, didn't you?
Yeah. But yeah, y'all had that was a great team. So I got to see that palatial.
Yes.
That place is beautiful.
It is. I mean, it's unreal. And, I can talk about it and try to describe it, but it just doesn't do it justice. You just got to see it for yourself. And
I bought 4 cars from Rob Stockton too. So,
hey, Rob Stockton is my best friend in the world, no doubt about it. And
I generally just call up there and tell him what I want, and then
that's right,
bring it to me, and I sign the papers. And
that's it. I was gonna plug Rob too and say, like you said, hey, I need this for my son. I'm looking for a truck. And all right. And next thing I know, here it is in Rochelle, Georgia. And he didn't think twice about it. But that's the kind of people you got up there. And so it's no mystery they win football games. They do it right up there.
Duval, Ford, Chevrolet, Jeep,
that's
Dodge, and everybody else.
I got a Duval decal on every vehicle I got.
I had one until Rachel went over here to Way Brothers and got her latest one. But before that, all of mine came from Duval.
That's it. Good people. And like I said, he's my best friend. So do anything for you. He'd give you a shirt off his back. I know it's cliche, but he literally would and wouldn't think twice about it.
Yeah, really good guy. So after Rabun, where did you end up?
Well, I hadn't made it Rabun in a way, as far as happy, family doing good, winning football games, great day job. And then I've mentioned him earlier in the conversation, Frank Barton, who was my offensive coordinator at Stevens when I played. He called me up and said, hey, I'm going to get the Stevens job. Let's come on back and let's do this thing like it was back in the day. And so as the old kind of cliche, as mama called, home called, and I went back, and I enjoyed that too. We had some good teams at Stevens, and with his defensive coordinator, I mean, we had some good defenses. I know we finished top 6 in the state 3 times at the end of the season in scoring defense when I was there, and had great players. Ben Cleveland played my 6 technique coach, and trust me, there wasn't a tight end that we played that could knock us off the ball. And that was fun having, great players. You can do a lot of things and get innovative and whatnot, and cover up some deficiencies in other areas because they have to always put 2 guys on guys like Big Ben. And, we won some games there that I always remember and cherish and whatnot. But, as it is sometimes home, it wasn't exactly like it was when I was 16, 17, 18 years old. It was different, but I appreciated going home, and I was happy to say I went home and spent some time at Stevens County. And I was glad, really, quite honestly, I didn't do it right out of high school now looking back, because, I tell young guys that I interview for jobs all the time, if you feel like you want to go home, you got to do it. But you might want to go somewhere else first, because they're always going to see you as the student, those teachers that are still there. And they're always going to see you as the guy that was 16 years old. And, it's good to go off and make a name for yourself first and then come back. And that's kind of what I did at Toccoa. And that was good. And, like I say, it was tough to leave Raven County, but I just felt like, God was calling me back home, and we did that. And my oldest son graduated from there, and that was good for him too, because he liked that area, and was able to go to UGA right after he graduated, and didn't have far to go if he wanted to be home. But, as all things, good things, sometimes they come to an end. And when Coach Barden left Stevens, I tried to get the head job there, and I didn't get it. And I'll be honest with you. I tell people all the time, I was going to be bitter if I tried to stick around, and they tried to get me to stay around, and but I just didn't want to do it. I felt like I needed a clean break, and next thing I know, somehow I ended up in South Georgia. So God is in control of my life. I'll be first to tell you, Chris, because there's no way in the world, if you'd have asked me, 10 years ago, you're going to be in South Georgia coaching football and enjoying it, I'd have said you're crazy. So God moved us down here to Rochelle, and my wife always told me, I'm never going to move to any town that doesn't have a Walmart, or I'm not moving to South Georgia. And here we are in Rochelle, and I can assure you we have no Walmart. We don't even have a fast food restaurant. So anyway, God has a sense of humor that sometimes he says, we'll see how much you want to run things. And he put us down here, but it's been great. It's been great for sure.
I know my wife, when we got married 23 years ago, and she started out in a regional property manager. And so she was sent all over the Southeast, and, she went to a lot of little towns, and there were 3 places. I'm not going to mention them because I don't want to insult anybody, but she was like, and all 3 of them have really good football. She was like, if you ever move me to one of those 3 places, you better off just getting direct deposit and finding you a 12x60 to live in, because I'm not going. And it was kind of along the same line. She was like, they need to at least have, and people that live around metro areas or, in North Georgia, whatever, they don't understand that, like when we were in Early County, we went to Dothan, Alabama, or Bainbridge. Both were 45 minutes away to get to a Walmart.
Right.
And you tell people like that, and they look at you like, man, you're crazy. And you're like, no, dude, we don't have one. Or you're like this one, Coach, we do this all the time. Man, they got them a Walmart. They do. Or they're opening them up a Walmart. Oh yeah. Or at Hawkinsville, we got us a Jack's.
Exactly.
We just opened us a Jack's.
I mean,
people get excited whatever the new fast food restaurant is.
For sure. I mean, heck, in Rochelle, it's like, man, did you see they had a food trailer down there on the corner, man? So let's go check it out.
The Chick-fil-A trailer's coming to Hawkinsville this Thursday.
I mean, when something like that happens, everything shuts down. Let's go check it out. So.
And it's a big deal. I mean, and that's part of what makes it special, though.
True. I told Coach this. I agree. I told a coach this morning from Shorter University who just got on staff with him, and he's originally from Florida, and he's just started. He got the South Georgia recruiting area, and I told him, I said, look, Coach, there's some people, I promise you, that and you may have been one of them, that when they got that assignment, you got to go to Wilcox County and recruit, they might be thinking, that is terrible. I got to drive all the way to there. But I'm going to tell you what, you're going to get a ball player that is dedicated to football. There's not any real distractions that they have, and they're tough. I mean, they are hard, and they want to be coached, and they appreciate anything they can get. So if you come recruit our school and get one of our guys, you're not going to regret it. I can assure you.
Oh, I went on a rampage at the Nike. I was due to hospitality suite for the Nike clinics in Orlando and whatever. So anyway, I'm sitting in there and I'm talking to these coaches, and I'm like, look, I get it. I know y'all have why you do what you do, but I have an extra bedroom at my house, and I live in a nice house on a nice golf course. And if you just come stay at my house, I promise you, within a 50-mile radius of my house, you can find football players.
Absolutely.
And y'all just get off at the airport in Atlanta, and y'all think that y'all recruit Atlanta, or y'all will go to Valdosta, or places you've heard of that won the state or played for it, and y'all don't go nowhere else. I'm
right.
like, y'all used to beat the bushes. I mean, there's football players all over the place, especially some of you directional colleges and some of you colleges up north. Y'all can find some people down here.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
You ain't got nothing like them, and they're not going to go anywhere.
Exactly.
You ain't got to pay them. Just give them something to eat and a free ride, and they'll come.
I'm going to tell you what, when I got down here, Coach, to Wilcox, back in that 5 years, see, I've been the head coach 5 years now. I can't remember. They all run together. But anyway, when we got down here, Coach, we didn't have really quite honestly, a weight room, really. I mean, we did, but we didn't. And there was only 3 football players in a weightlifting class that spring prior to my getting here. And the fact that we provided them with a brand new weight room, and we got them all not only in weight training, but all in the same class now, they thought that was the greatest thing. I mean, they would do anything for us, kind of an attitude. And that's the kind of kid you're going to get down here in South Georgia. And I'm not trying to knock the North Georgia kids, because they're good kids too. And I've coached them and loved them for real. But these South Georgia kids, when you don't have much and they realize that somebody really loves them and it wants what's best for them, it doesn't take much, and they are hooked.
Right.
And that's what I tell these colleges.
Yeah, they're a little bit more appreciative. They just,
right.
It's just different. They're different kind of kids.
It's just different. And it's not one better than the other. They're just more appreciative. That's the word for it. And you're right, Coach. I don't care which school you go to. You can go to a little school with 300 kids like us. And we're going to have, we're pretty much going to guarantee we're going to have probably a FCS, a Division II, NAIA kind of kid almost every single year. And on good years, multiple guys, and on really good years we'll have a guy that can go play Power 5. So that's not just us, that's like almost every single school down here. So it's a good place for football. When I came here, they made sure they told me when we got in that region with Clinch and Charlton and Irwin and all that crowd, this was the SEC of high school football in Georgia. And you better believe it, if you hadn't played in Ocilla and Folkestone and Homerville, you ain't played football, I can assure you.
Regardless of the A's, there's
exactly.
going to be some dudes on the field when any of that crowd. And then you throw in Dooley.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Suttle's doing a great job at Hawkinsville right now.
Right.
They're going to have some kids come through. Burleson's doing a great job at Telfair. They're going to have kids. Dublin's in single A, although they're high A. Coach Laster does a great job at Blakely. Yeah, I mean, there's players,
Right. Yeah, I mean, like you said, you said it perfectly. If you just went to Hawkinsville, Georgia, and said, I'm going to drive 45 minutes in every direction, I guarantee a coach, if he could get those kids, that's all he needs to do to fill his recruiting quota, if you will, of finding guys. And you're going to not just get guys, but you're going to get good ones. I mean, good ones.
I mean, you got all of Warner Robins, you got all of Peach County, you got all of Crisp County, then you got y'all
down at Tifton.
Yeah, you got Tifton, Macon County, Crisp County, you got, all
Fitzgerald.
the little Fitzgerald, all the little single A schools around. I mean, good Lord, you got Dodge County. I mean, you got there's folks, there's players.
I could argue you'd about have it to yourself too if you really spent some time building relationships, and you wouldn't even have to fight a lot of people off.
Which has always annoyed me. Georgia Southern used to be really, really good about that. And now, there's no excuse. They should never, because they're not recruiting against Georgia. I don't care that they're D1 now. They're really not recruiting against Georgia. And I think that's where, Georgia State's they're getting ahead of the curve on that now, because they're not afraid to send them everywhere.
They were here today in Rochelle, so you're right. I mean, this recruiting thing, it's really changed in the last 5-6 years, quite honestly, to what it is today. I go back to about 5 years ago. Twitter, that's the only social media thing I do, and I only did it to get started on because I had heard how much college coaches used it as a tool in finding players. So I just got on there and started sending film of our guys to everybody that would accept my film, quite honestly, and trying to beat the bushes and find them opportunities. And it's really exploded from there, quite honestly. And I would argue that things like Twitter has kind of made college recruiting in some ways where they don't have to go work as hard because they don't have to drive to Damascus, Georgia, or Rochelle, Georgia, and all that kind of stuff. They can get that film just like that at the blink of a hat and decide who they really want to go after and target, I guess you might say, based on that film before they go beating the backwoods of Georgia. And, sometimes you miss a player that way, though.
Yeah. Well, let's back up a little bit. Something you said earlier. We were talking off air about things that you plant your flag on and stake your flag down, and I'm going to fight this battle. And talk a little bit about, Wilcox County is your first head coaching job, and you touched on, getting the weight room right.
Right.
Would that be one of the things you say? I mean, what would your top three things be that is worth planting your flag on, you think, looking back over the 5 years of, this being your first head coaching job?
Well, there's no doubt that is it. I mean, because if you don't establish a weight room culture, you got no chance. I mean, if you're purely dependent on my guys are going to be better than your guys, that might work sometime, but it's not going to sustain a program. It might be a good team, a good season, but you're not going to have a good program where you have sustained success year after year after year, because you got to establish that weight room. And like I said, we got our guys all in the same class now, and we wear the same top and bottom. We look like a team while we're lifting weights, and just little things like that, I think, go a long ways, because our guys know that, I'd be naive to think that everybody steps in that weight room every single day to like, I cannot wait to work my tail off today. They're not. I mean, they're kids with many other things going on, but they know that when they come in that weight room, that is the standard. That is no exceptions. You're not going to get, somebody feels sorry for you in the weight room. And when you kind of get that established, that goes over to the practice field. Then it goes over to the game on Friday night. Whenever you can, relay that message to that kid, I bet that guy from that school didn't lift as hard as you did. And they ain't as tough as you because of what you did in the weight room, et cetera, et cetera. And that may not really be true or not, but if they believe it, that's what matters. So that'd be the hill you got to die on. If you're going to get a program started, I would recommend to any new guy starting a head football coach first time is you get that weight room settled, and probably just as important as hiring a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator is who's going to run your weight room. Because if you don't get that right, you're going to have a lot of problems.
Agreed. Absolutely. Without beyond a shadow of a doubt, and getting that cooperation from the administration of how important it is to get those kids in there together.
Right. Sometimes I believe, they don't understand it. It's not that they don't want to, they just don't know the value of it. So it's important that you sell your vision, to your administration of why it's important and whatnot, and really just keep hammering that. And like I said, we started with 3 guys in the weight room, literally. And I know most people think I'm lying, but I promise that's the truth. And in a class, and now we got them all in weightlifting and all in the same class. It's been a big change and a big help. And that's what I'd hang our hat on the most of why we've been able to win some football games at Wilcox, is getting that culture in the weight room established and believing in it and trusting that it's going to produce positive results.
Well, and you also went through the transition of moving into a brand new school too, didn't you?
We did. That was the exact same year that I came too. So, it's funny. Some college coaches still have that the old address of the old school. And when they come to visit us, they'll say, I don't see anybody over here, Coach. And I laugh, and I'm thinking, like, how did anybody go to school with this thing? This thing, they must have built this thing in 1842. I mean, they needed a school in Wilcox County big time. And I will applaud the Board of Education for the forethought to put a K through 12 school, one roof. I can go down to my wife's classroom on the other side of the school in 3rd grade and develop relationships. And the kids, that it's kind of funny now, because the kids that the first year we were at Wilcox in her room are going to be coming to me as ninth graders next year. And they already know me from way back when they were in third grade. And I think that's a cool thing that you can't do in some of these big places. You can't establish those relationships that they know you, you know them, they trust you. And that's a cool thing about being in small town Georgia. I can assure you that.
Yeah, and when you do like the varsity kids reading to the elementary kids, it's not like you got to bus them to the elementary school. They're there.
That's it. And ironically, tomorrow night we're having a thing at school for kids after school, and my wife, I'll give her the credit for it. She spearheaded this idea, but it's going to be cool. We're bringing back basically at this time of year the guys that are even playing, at Power 5 schools that were from Wilcox. They're kind of on a little bit of a break right now. They got 2 or 3 weeks, and they got to go home back to do their summer stuff. But anyway, we're bringing them all back tomorrow night, and I think it's going to be cool to kind of show off these guys to these little kids of like, hey, this could be you. This is what you can do if you make good grades and you go, do great things in college. You can come back, and they think those guys are bigger than life, as you know.
Oh yeah.
And our guys that are doing this, they learn a valuable lesson of giving back and what's important as well. So I'm excited about that kind of stuff. And you can't do that, like you said, unless you're under the same roof. It's just hard to coordinate everything.
Well, something else we were talking about off air too was trying to hire people.
Right.
And I know you're looking for a coach now. And I mentioned the fact that as of yesterday, there were 62 PE openings in the state of Georgia. How much do you think it's changed? Well, it's not how much you think. How much has it changed since we both got started back in the before times with trying to hire people and what jobs are available?
Oh, Coach, it was put to me really distinctly that you don't need to go get a PE job when I first got started, because you can't get a PE job. There's just not any out there. It's kind of like a unicorn or, Bigfoot. There's just not any. There's never an open job. And then, like you said, what was it, 62? You looked at?
Yep.
62 open jobs. And that is ridiculous. I would say there wasn't 62 jobs probably in 2 to 3 years combined when I first started teaching back in 1996. So it's definitely changed. And we had a PE job last year as well that, Coach, I'm just telling you the truth. We couldn't hardly get anybody to even apply for the job. I think we had like 3 people that applied for a PE job, and that's just unheard of from what me and you grew up and started our careers in. But I guess the only thing I know is just there's fewer and fewer people that are getting into teaching in general that there used to be, and even less guys are willing to be coaches, and that's a shame to me. I don't know why that is. If I had the answer, I might go on a speaking tour across America and get paid a lot of money and tell people how to fix it, but I don't. But I would love for it to somehow reverse course and go back to the old days, and where guys playing high school ball would kind of have that dream and vision, like I want to be like the coaches that did so much for me, and I want to give back to them just like they did for me. And, I don't know how to correct that, Coach. If you got ideas of how to do it, man, I'd love to hear it, because I think that there's a lot of kids that could be good coaches. But for whatever the reason is, if it's money they see that you don't make, and that's, everything's not about money, as you know. If we looked at coaches, how much we got paid per hour, we'd never do the job that we do, because it ain't much. But it ain't for that. You want to be appreciated with money, and you want to be able to pay your bills and do the best for your family. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, where I get my joy and enjoyment is feeling like I was able to impact a kid's life that day and make their day better and make their futures better. So hopefully the next generation will soon turn back to that mentality. I don't know. What do you see as how do you view that same point? I'm curious to hear what you got to say.
I don't know. I've got my undergraduate and I've got 2 undergraduate degrees because I actually went to medical school, but I've got my bachelor's, master's, and 6th year, and I'm a dissertation away from a doctorate in PE, but I'm also certified to teach special ed.
Right.
And I teach math as well, although I don't have the math certification. I just need to go take the test. But I've taught special ed more than I've taught PE because, like you.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
When I started in 2000, because I started late. I was off chasing other things. But anyway, I was told the same thing. You're not getting a PE job unless somebody dies.
Right.
So you better be certified to teach something else. And, I've just always worked well with kids that learn differently. And that's what I'm drawn to. I guess because I'm one of them, and I just birds of a feather. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but it's not looking good. And what we did over COVID, when we sent everybody home and showed that we could do it all online, we may have made it to where we're unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
And, with the move toward online learning where we're going to be more of like facilitators than actual teachers, because, one of the things that I don't like that I've noticed is it really hit me at Early County at Hawkinsville, a smaller rural school, is when we started the Move On When Ready and the work-based learning programs, which are great programs.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does is, in a small school, it removes the leaders of the school from the general population.
It sure does.
So that all you're left with are special education students and freshmen, or kids that don't really care. They're just there. So your best and brightest and people that have initiative, they're not there because they are moving on when ready, which they're really not. They're not really college material. They just do that to make money. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But they got the Move On When Ready, and then they have the work-based learning, which is great for those kids. That's awesome. I don't want that to go away. But you're left with the rest of y'all, And so you're sitting at school with, if you already only had 300 kids at school and half of them are gone, Move On When Ready or work-based learning, you're left with 150 kids, 100 of them are freshmen, and then the 50 of them are San Quentin.
Not much to model after, is there?
No, there's nobody there to show them, hey, man, we don't act like that. Or, hey, man, we don't do that here. Or, hey, we don't, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's harder at a small school because your best and brightest kids, when they graduate, they're not coming home. If they go off to college, they're not coming back home. There's nothing there for them.
That's right.
They're going to go off and do whatever. I mean, unless their parents own a farm or a business, they're probably not coming back. So you're losing your best and brightest. So I don't know. And most of them aren't, education's like plan E or F, so.
Yeah, I think you've hit a number of good points, and you're right. I not just education, but COVID has messed this world up in a number of ways, and how we handled it and all that, not to get on all that rant, like you said. But unfortunately, while it may have shown that you can do some online learning, I agree with that 100%. As you know, part of schooling is the social experience and learning how to get along with others and whatnot. And you lose all that through online learning. And I feel like that's as big a problem as anything we're facing in the future of our country of how we get along with people. And I think we see that being played out even today with all this protest and stuff. And
and a lot of the people that have been on the podcast, we talk about the coaching profession, and the biggest thing, that one of the biggest common denominators is relationships. Well, it's hard to build relationships with people through a screen.
That's right.
You've got to actually, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that read stuff that I've put on the old vent or Twitter or whatever. They don't know me from Adam's House Cat, but don't like me just because of the tone or whatever. And I mean, I don't really care if they like me or not. It's not going to affect my universe, but you know what I'm saying? They've never had the opportunity to sit down and actually hang out and talk and chat and actually hear the tone of someone's voice when they say what they say, to either pick up on sarcasm or hear that they're kidding or hear that they're, we grew up in a time where what they call bullying now and what we actually think is bullying, they're not the same thing.
True.
Like I've raised my child like he was raised in the 70s. I'm like, if somebody puts their hands on you or they threaten you to do something, if you don't do something else, that's bullying. If somebody makes fun of you, you better figure it out. That's all I can tell
you. I mean, I have to admit, Coach, I really believe that most of us turned out pretty good. What are you thinking? Well, that's kind of how we was raised. So I don't know why we changed.
It didn't kill us.
That's right. It made us tougher. You're right about that.
As my grandmother used to say, if you ain't got nothing nice to say about anybody, come sit with me. Leave your feelings at home and pack an extra set of skin.
Sounds like a good grandma to me.
But I mean, and the only place we can do it as coaches is back on the on the ball field.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And that's why our athletes are so important for us to make sure we model that behavior. I mean, how do you feel about that? Making sure that's, wins and losses are important because if we don't, they'll run us out of town. But it's also important as a coach. I mean, what do you think about that?
I mean, if I leave here from coaching in general or Wilcox or Raven, wherever it was, and those kids don't have the feeling that Coach Stowe loved them and wanted what's best for them, then I failed, quite honestly. And the only way you do show that is by doing. You can talk the game and all that stuff, but kids see through the talk all the time. They want to see, do you really mean it by your actions? And, little things like taking kids home from practice, you can build relationships that way that no teacher could ever do in a classroom, ever. You can do things like just give them a meal. I can remember, after my first year at Wilcox, and little things like my wife providing the whole team with those little frozen pops, that you get that are, 12 inches long or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
After practice, you'd have thought we was handing out gold to them. I mean, little things like that. They say, well, they really care for me. They ain't just here to get something out of it for them. And what I hope is, and I've told our guys that I was kind of talking about a little earlier that are coming back and reading tomorrow night for our elementary kids, is I want to try to go to their graduations. I want them to know that, I'm proud of them playing football at the next level, and that is hugely important. But let football, provide a way for them to better their life.
Correct. They're going to use you for football. You use them to get that paper.
That's it. And for a lot of these guys, they're the first ones to go to college and whatnot. So if you didn't have sports, if you didn't have football, for one, a lot of these kids, at least the ones here in Wilcox County, would never go to college, never dream about going to college. And, if we didn't have football, if we didn't have sports, where would they be? They might not even be in school. So football coaches, to me, are, and I'm not saying that to try to pat myself on the back. I'm simply saying I think football coaches in a high school, don't matter if it's Class A, 7A, 3A, whatever, are some of the more impactful people that you're going to have on that high school campus. And you better appreciate those coaches and help them do their jobs because, like you said already, there's going to be a big crowd show up at Dining Clack on Friday nights to see that football team, but they're not showing up to see if your math team, is winning the competition at RESA. So football's important and school's important. I'm not trying to say it's not, but if you don't understand how important sports play in that whole high school experience, then you're missing it.
Absolutely. And it's not just the kids that go on to play ball in college. I mean, some of those youngins, if it wasn't for ball, they wouldn't even come to school.
You're right. You're right. I mean, clearly they come. I'll use an example. The other day, we had a student who, he's making good grades, but as it gets to the end of the school year, I don't know how things are in Hawkinsville and Taylor County and whatnot, but the Wilcox County kids, after they take milestones, they about think, hey, school's over with and whatnot. And, I told him he needed to come to school anyway. I don't care what his compadres were doing that day, but he needed to be at school because there may be a college recruiter here that day. And, I guess what I'm saying is if that had to been something that I could hold over that kid, he wouldn't have been at school. So he wouldn't have been learning how to read and how to write and do math. But because football is important to him, he knows that that's not his only way out, but that's his best way out.
Right. I mean, like my kid, and now granted, he's got me, and these other kids don't have, all of them ain't got me and you at home.
Right.
Mine came home today. They got another week of school, and he's already got his exemption papers, and I'm looking at him going, now, look, I know you still owe some assignments. I expect those assignments to get done, and he gives me a look like I have lost my mind. He's like, you see these exemption papers? And I'm like, it's going to be a long summer without any electronics if you don't get this stuff done.
I bet he got it done.
Well, he will. And
that's right.
Or he won't, and he won't have anything this summer. He'll have coloring books and golf clubs. But you know what I'm saying? We have other things that we can hold over them, and they might not have that person at home that holds their feet to the fire, or
that's right.
Or they've tried everything they can do, and the mamas or whoever comes to you and, Coach, I've done all I can do. Can you help me?
Right.
And
that's right.
They come to us, and it's just,
and oftentimes that is the last hope. And thank God it works a lot more often than it doesn't. If you ask me, that when it comes to, hey, Coach, can you help us fix this problem? That for whatever the reason is, I don't profess to think that I've got all the answers, but we seem to help out a lot more as coaches and raising these kids than we fail at. I guarantee you that.
Well, Coach, I sure do appreciate the job that you've done over the years. I know year 30 is approaching. What you going to do?
Hey, man, I tell people all the time, while the 30 is approaching, I plan on working till I'm about 60, and that'd be about 9 more years at least. So, as long as I still feel energized and energetic and called to do this job, I'm going to get up and do it because I still enjoy going to work. I still enjoy getting around the kids in the weight room every day and trying to strategize and think about, game planning, whether it be how we're going to handle summer with our coaching staff or how we're going to handle, Tim Suttle's defense at Hawkinsville that Friday night, whatever. It's all fun to me. And of course, seeing the kids succeed, like you said, whether they're going to play for the University of Georgia or they just going after school to the military, it don't matter. All of them have an important part to play. And our job as coaches is to just get the most out of them that we can and push them to realize that they can always, work hard and achieve great things. But if you don't work hard, it's almost impossible to achieve great things. So that's what's fun to me. And as long as I feel like I'm still making an impact, I plan on doing it.
Well, that's awesome, Coach. And you have definitely made an impact on not only the players and the communities that you've had, that you've been a part of, but also the coaches around you and me as well. And I sure do appreciate it. And I appreciate you being on with us tonight.
Well, hey, it was an honor. Like I said, kind of mentioned, I remember hearing about this guy way back on the event days, way back when it was just like one board, it wasn't even several boards. And the man of constant sorrow was a legendary status. And I can remember vividly Wilcox versus Hawkinsville and Rochelle. And one of my assistant coaches, Stephen McDuffie, was talking to you. And I didn't know who you were at the time. But afterwards he said, hey, that's Chris Lamb. He said, you know him? I said, no, I don't think I do. He said, that's the guy that's the man of constant start. I said, man, that guy's a legend. He's in Hawkinsville, So anyway, long story short being that I've learned, like you said, that you're more than just that figure that gives great insight on coaching jobs. You're a good dude and good coach. And, that's what this profession is all about, is this fraternity we have of being able to talk to guys and ask questions and get help when we need it. Just swap stories and share stories and have fun with each other. So thank you for what you do and kind of help providing a vehicle for that to happen.
Well, I appreciate it. And anytime you want to come hit the golf course, you let me know. And if there's ever anything in the world I can do for you, Coach Stowe, you just let me know.
Well, hope you mean that. I might be up there tomorrow ready to tee it off.
It might be raining tomorrow, but we'll definitely, if it ain't, we can definitely get after it.
Sounds good, man. Well, I'll take you up on that sometime.
All right. Appreciate it, Coach.
All right.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.